Colbyjack.net is proud to present From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. The people of the fire, the Blesa, led by their queens, have ruled the island of Alfeyju and oppressed the Driva, the people of the ice, for more than 16 generations. With the Drivian King in hiding and little hope on the horizon, the Driva looked to one person to save them from the vile Blesa, the Diviana. According to legend, the divinely gifted Diviana will one day overthrow the Blesa and restore the Drivian King to his rightful throne. But with the search having lasted for more than 400 years, will the Diviana ever come to light? Willow is the slave of the Raskpil family. Bought at the age of 4, 20 years have passed since her life irrevocably changed. Her existence is no worse than any other slave, but within, Willow wonders if there isn't something more she should be doing with her life other than serving the ungrateful. Ordered to travel with her master's family to Sondertoft, so her master's adult children can take part in an ancient rite of passage, Willow is shocked when she learns that she too must participate. Will she fail, as all before her have? Will she rise to the challenge and become stronger after passing through the flames? Episode 89, Chapter 47, Trusting Valdez. Hawk had been listening to Kalina babble on about something. Well, he wasn't exactly sure, but he had been so happy and content, he wasn't bothered by a little harmless babble. That is, until he heard Willow's feeble cry for help. The second her pain-filled words, "Hawk, help," crossed his mind, he knew something had gone terribly wrong. Not even thinking about Kalina or Adelina's reaction to his abrupt departure, he transported to Willow. What he saw the instant he arrived turned his stomach. Willow fallen to the ground, with blood already pooling around her. Aluak standing over her body, holding a bloody sword, doing nothing to help her. Rokia watching from the sidelines, also doing nothing. "Get her out of here!" Val yelled, spurring Hawk into action. Taking the few steps necessary to reach Willow, Hawk heard Aluak yell in outrage and disbelief, but Hawk was too fast for them to stop him. He had touched Willow and Val and transported them away from the traitorous king that helped put into power within an instant. They landed next to a small lake not too far from the palace. Hawk gently laid Willow onto her back, getting his first good look at her wound. "Oh, love," he breathed, putting his hands over her injury, trying to stop the bleeding. "Willow, open your eyes for me, love. Please, open your eyes." Willow's eyes fluttered open, full of pain and confusion. "Hawk," she gasped. I'm here. Everything is going to be fine. It's not as bad as it looks." "She's not going to make it," Val said, his voice full of sorrow. "That's not true," he yelled. "It can't be true. Do something. Heal her." "I can't." Willow's breathing started to become shallower as Hawk gave up applying any pressure to her stomach and instead cradled her in his arms. "Don't leave me. I love you so much. You can't leave me. I love you." "Hawk, love you," Willow gasped. Each word moved painfully past her lips. Then the light, the most beautiful light Hawk had ever seen, left her eyes. Her body became limp within his arms. "No, no, no," Hawk yelled, not willing to believe she was dead. "Come back. Please come back." Hot tears coursed down his face as he continued to rock her body back and forth, unable to accept the unacceptable. His grief was inconsolable. Adelina arrived as the sun began to set. How long later, Hawk didn't know or care. She sat beside him, and even though she said nothing, Hawk felt her sorrow. "He killed her," he whispered, "after everything she did for him. He killed her." "He did," another voice said, coming from the forest around them. Samuel walked out, followed by his men, every one of them with somber faces. "But we are still alive and can avenge her death." Hawk was struck silent by their arrival. so numb with sadness that he didn't know what to think or say. He watched as Samuel walked toward Willow, now lying on the forest floor, looking as if she were peacefully sleeping. He knelt down next to her and touched her head with his hand. Then, after a moment of silence, he got back to his feet. "We should have been ready for this," Hawk said, his voice breaking. "How could you have known he'd betray you?" Samuel asked in a reasonable voice. "Nobody would have expected this." "We knew there was a possibility she'd be killed in that room, but I forgot." "She must have too. This is all my fault." "It is not your fault. Now is not the time to blame yourself for others' acts." "We must get moving," Val said suddenly, the first words he had uttered since Willow had died. "What?" Hawk asked, looking at the staff, which was still in her limp hand. "We have things to do." "What are you talking about? We don't have anything to do." "That's where you're wrong. Don't you remember promising her you'd do whatever I told you to do if this happened?" "Yes, but nothing," Val said. "If we are to follow her last wishes, we must do it tonight." "Do what?" Instead of answering him, Val said, "Pick me up and wave me at the water. Be sure to be touching Adelina when you do it." "Then will you tell me what's going on?" Hawk asked, getting to his feet, his knees feeling wobbly. "Yes, but for now, do as I say." Hawk picked up Val and moved toward the water with Adelina at his side. "What are you doing?" Samuel asked, following them. "I don't know," Hawk said, "but Val seems to think it's important at a time like this." When they reached the water's edge, Hawk put his hand on Adelina's back and waved Val at the water, not really expecting anything to happen. But he was wrong. A sudden glowing ball came from Val and floated in front of Hawk. It hovered in the air for a moment before it was unexpectedly joined by more glowing balls, all whizzing around each other until it was impossible to tell how many of them there were. They zipped away from Hawk and went over the water until they all converged upon a point a few yards from shore. All the tiny balls then fused together, creating a larger, brighter ball of light. The instant this large ball of light touched the water's surface, flames leapt from out of nowhere. Hawk, Samuel, and the others jumped back as the flames quickly grew in size and intensity. Within seconds, the flames were taller than a man, covering every inch of the lake's surface. "What is it?" Samuel cried, his eyes wide as he watched the flames. "The eternal fires," Hawk breathed, unable to take his eyes off of them. "The what?" "The eternal fires. Willow was told by the mist that the eternal fires would welcome her into the afterlife. I guess the mist was right." "Touch Adelina again and wave me at the flames," Val ordered, not sounding at all concerned with the almost out-of-control fire before them. Hawk did as he was told, this time not questioning Val. The flames flared brightly and then disappeared, leaving in their wake a glowing, pulsing ship made of blue ice. Hawk and Samuel gasped at the sight of the ship. It wasn't so much that the ship was large that made them so in awe. It was more the fact that neither of them had ever seen a ship made completely of ice. There didn't appear to be 1 inch which wasn't ice. "Put her body on the ship," Val said. "But I wanted to bury her at home, at Astrid's home," Hawk said. "If you really love her, you will do as I say and put her on this ship. This is very important." "Put her on the ship," Samuel said. "This is a fitting farewell for her. This ship and your love for her honors her more than a stone with her name engraved on it would. Do as Val says." Hawk felt his heart pull him in 2 different directions. Half of him wanted to say to hell with what they wanted him to do and take her home with him, keeping her close to him until he eventually died and then could be buried next to her. The other half, though, heard Willow's plea for him to listen to Val and Adelina and to do whatever they asked, no matter how strange it sounded. What was the right decision? Then a vision of Willow, smiling, with her love shining out of her eyes, flashed through his mind, making his decision for him. Not saying a word, he gave Samuel Val, and walked over to Willow. He drank in the sight of her, wanting to remember every detail of her face before she left him forever. Hawk bent down and was about to pick her up when her necklace flashed at him, reflected in the glory of the ship. The necklace, her other jewelry. Leave them on her. They are hers for eternity, even in death, Val said. Hawk nodded and gently picked Willow up, his arms securely around her. He walked slowly toward the ice ship and the gangplank, which had appeared out of nowhere. Each member of the Sacred Guard bowed as Willow's body passed, a sign of the deep respect they felt for their fallen leader. Samuel stood beside the gangplank, briefly putting a hand on Hawk's shoulder as he passed, trying to express his consolation and trying to give Hawk some strength. Hawk barely acknowledged the gesture. Hawk walked up the gangplank at a steady, mechanical pace. It was hard to put one foot in front of the next when all he wanted to do was awaken from the nightmare his life had become and find Willow alive and well. But he knew this was no nightmare. It was real life, and the pain he felt was real. When he finally reached the deck, he saw a bed in the middle of the ship, richly adorned in deep lilac purple cloth, a shade or two darker than the clothes Willow wore. As with her clothes, the blankets and pillows on the bed were embroidered in gold, but unlike her clothes, there didn't appear to be any rhyme or reason to the embroidered pattern. Gently putting her onto the bed, Hawk made sure her head was comfortably propped on the pillows. Once he was happy that she could have been sleeping, he wrapped her in the soft blanket, not wanting her to get chilled on her journey. Hawk looked down at her for one last time and leaned down, softly kissing her lips, whispering, "I love you." His tears, which he had been unable to hold back any longer, fell steadily. One of his tears hit her cheek. He wiped the tear away, leaving her looking flawlessly beautiful. With one final, "I love you," Hawk turned and walked away from her, a dagger thrusting into his heart with every step he took. Hawk had only taken 2 steps away from the gangplank when he stopped and turned around. After a minute, flames, the same flames which had created the ship of ice, rose from the water, slowly engulfing the ship. The fire was so bright it hurt Hawk to look at them, but he was determined to watch everything that was happening to Willow. He'd be damned if she'd go through anything alone, if he could help it, even this. As fast as the flames had engulfed the ship and Willow's body, they disappeared, taking Willow and the ship with them. The sudden darkness was blinding, and took Hawk almost a full minute before he could see again. "Now we wait," Val said, his voice sounding hopeful. Wait for what?" Hawk asked. "If everything works out as it should, you'll find out at first light," he said. "What do we do now?" Hawk asked Samuel. "We try to rest, my friend. I have spies gathering information for me even as we stand here. They'll report to us in the morning, and from there we'll plan what to do next." "Rest? I can't rest. How can I sleep when Willow's—" "If you don't rest, you'll make yourself sick. Would she have wanted you to become sick over something you couldn't change?" Samuel asked. "No. She always was concerned for everyone else, worrying about herself last. She was a very special person." "Yes, she was. My men will stand guard and make sure we are undisturbed. They are loyal and won't betray you as Kalina and Sigurd have. Come morning, the picture of the king's treachery should be complete." You have been listening to From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. Read, recorded, mastered, encoded, and produced by Colbyjack.net. This work is released under a Creative Commons 3.0 Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Do what you want with it, just don't try to profit from it. Heaven knows we can't. If you have any questions, comments, or rants you wish to share with us, we can be reached at Colbyjack.net. That's COLBYTRAX @COLBYJACK.net. Yep, I sing it too. If you want to follow the exploits of Trisha in Twitterland, just search for Lady Trisha W on Twitter, or follow the ever-dashing, courageous, hardworking, intelligent, and immensely humble Colbyjack on the Twitters as well. If you find that you can't just wait to find out what will happen with Willow, the strong dude and the annoying dude, be heartened to know that From the Flames is available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords, as well as from our little shop. Didn't you know about our little shop? Why, yes, we have a little shop located at shop. That's shop.colbyjack.net. That's shop.colbyjack.net. Yeah, real original there. There you will find the latest ebook versions of all our works in both Mobi and ebook, all DRM-free, as well as audiobook versions of such works as Firmware Hijacked and Proxy, as well, naturally, as well as From the Flames. The audiobooks differ from the podcasts in that the headers and bumpers only run once, and the episodes are grouped into hour-long episodes for easy burning to CD or for downloading on the go. If you find you don't need any stuff, but just want to thank us monetarily for our efforts here, just head on over to Colbyjack.net, select either audio or visual, and look for the donate button located on the blog roll. Well, anyway, thank you for listening, have a wonderful week, and remember to be fabulous.